I got a quick word for you guys. Walk with the wise and be wise. Walk with the fools and be foolish. It's a very, very simple Bible verse with a very, very simple command. And I think oftentimes we confuse what's simple. Man, is there any choice but to just walk with the wise versus walking with fools? And sometimes it's hard for us to realize, are we with the wise or are we with fools? Because we can often be deceived, right? And I look back at my own life and I'm a very trustworthy person. And there's been times in my life where somebody who looks the part, somebody who speaks the part, somebody who even talks about God may end up deceiving you because they have a ulterior motive behind the reason they're trying to gather a relationship with you. So over time, we will develop and we'll learn how to discern poor relationships, or not even poor relationships, but people with ill intentions. And I think a lot of us as sinners, as fleshly humans, a lot of times we want what's in it for me type of relationship. And I'm guilty. I'm a sinner. I'm human. There's some times where I'm like, hey, what's in it for me? I'd love to have a relationship with this person. I'd love to network with this person. But are we genuinely giving to a relationship because we want to serve and want to see other people successful, or are we just trying to take? And I think that's where that sometimes that we can be deceived. Okay, like I look at my buddy and he was talking about how he's been in business for 10 years and how he's creating this massive platform, and there's investors and there's IT and there's coding and there's all these different things going on in the background. And people see a lot of potential in the business opportunity. They see growth. They see opportunity to take the market share. They see opportunity for a lot of back end profits. And he says a lot of times he would get approached and he'd start to develop a relationship with somebody. Then there'd be promises of X, promises of Y. And then after a little while, somebody would finally show their true colors. And actually, he was deceived. The person was working hard and putting on their best foot forward and putting forth their best effort just so they could gain a contract, not necessarily a great relationship, right? And I think a lot of times we'll do this when somebody gains your trust. After that moment, they really start to show you who they are. Don't miss that. When somebody gains your trust, or when you gain somebody else's trust, we start to show who we really are after that moment. Look at a marriage, right? A lot of times people get married and you have that courtship, right? You're trying to gain trust of an individual, and then you get married. And then after you get married, there's oftentimes like you start to go downhill, right? I've had to catch myself many times in my marriage. Like, am I giving Kaylee the same effort that I gave her before we got married when I was trying to marry her? Am I giving Kaylee the same effort that I gave her when I was trying to marry her? Now I am married. What type of person am I? Am I the same person that she committed to, right? We always want to be growing. We always want to be evolving. Like, I want to be less of Lance and more like Jesus. That's who I want to be growing to become, less of Lance and more like Jesus. So yes, there are certain parts of me that shouldn't be recognizable, but I should be a better human. I should be more like Christ. I should be serving her at a higher capacity. I should be X, Y, and Z better for her. So once we gain trust with somebody, what is the relationship like after that, right? Walk with the wise and be wise. Walk with the fools and be foolish, right? So we just need to start to surround ourselves with people that we can trust, surround ourselves with people that are in the Word of God, surround ourselves with people that are going to church, surround ourselves with people that are trustworthy individuals. And you go, Lance, there's a lot of Christians I know that aren't trustworthy. There are people that go to church that, have made terrible decisions. Absolutely, there are. Absolutely. And the same is also true in the world, people who aren't Christians. There's the same thing going on. There's a lot of deception. There's a lot of deceit. There's a lot of false pretenses. There's a lot of stuff going on like that outside of the church. It just so happens that people become self-righteous, where they think because they go to church that they have an upper hand on somebody, or that they go to church is the way that they hide behind. They hide behind the doors of the church, right? And they think like, oh, I'm a cleaned up person, right? And then a bunch of people will perceive them that way, and then somebody from the church will hurt somebody that's not in the church, and then boom, now we have Christians who get a bad reputation. So it is so important that we're constantly reminding ourselves that I am a sinner. constantly repenting for our sin, constantly trying to become more like Jesus, right? Becoming more like Jesus. And if you're walking with people that are honestly, truthfully trying to become more like Jesus, not just be seen in a church. They constantly want to read the word of God, not just post it on their story. They constantly want to be in fellowship and be vulnerable, not just be with a bunch of people that are influential, right? That's the type of community that I want to be in. That's the type of wise counsel that I want to have in my life. And I hope that's what you would want, right? So often in life, we want to take advice from somebody influential or famous, but do we really know them? And do they even know us? Right? I want to take advice from people that know me. That, hey, Lance, you're stepping out of line here. You're not in alignment with the Word of God. You're not in alignment with the community that you're involved in. You're actually stepping out of the things that we've been talking about as a group. So we got to be known. We got to be in spaces where we know others. We got to be known in spaces where we know others. We got to all be trying to read the Word of God, and that's when you can walk with the wise, and you will be wise, right? Because who you surround yourself, who you do life with. Right? You get with five fools, you're about to be the sixth. You get with five people doing drugs, you're about to be the sixth. You get with five people in the Word of God, discipling one another, repenting, knowing that they're a sinner, knowing that they're a human, knowing that they aren't perfect. Now you're going to walk with some people that are wise, that you can take advice from, that you can lean on, right? And the last thing I'll leave you with, there's a difference between being authentic and a difference between being vulnerable. So, authenticity talks about who you are in the past and who you've been and what you have had to overcome. It's great to be authentic. You don't want to hide from your past. You want to be authentically you, right? But the difference between being authentic and vulnerable, vulnerability happens in the now, authenticity happens in the past. So authenticity is about what you've gone through and the things that you've been through. Like if you've been on drugs, or you were an alcoholic, or you used to do this sin, or you used to do that thing, and you tell people about that and how you overcame it and your testimony of Jesus, like that's amazing. That's an authentic person. You're not hiding from the past. But a vulnerable person tells you about the struggles that they're going through here and now, the here and now. Like, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with lust, I'm struggling with this sin, I'm struggling with that sin, I'm struggling with how I deal with my kids in this situation. That's a vulnerable person. If you can talk about the things that you're going through right now, like you don't have it all figured out, like yes, you overcame some things while you were younger, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's great to share those, but what are you dealing with right now that hurts? What are some things that you're dealing with right now that are hard? What are some things that you're dealing with right now that you need help with, right? That would be walking with the wise. And I think if we can become and be in places that are more vulnerable instead of just authentic, if we can be authentic and vulnerable at the same time, like, yes, this is my past, but hey, this is my present reality right now. I'm struggling with this. I think we can have an extremely wise culture. And that's the word for tonight. So go and be wise. Go and get in the Word of God. Go and get with some community. Go and get with some people that are vulnerable about the things that they're going through right now. Not just about the triumphs that they've had overcoming adversity, but the adversity that they're facing today. And we can start to grow, and we can walk with the wise, because when we walk with the wise, we're truly walking with God, and God is using us to pour into other people. Let's get it. Have a blessed